Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Cold Country Podcast, where we talk all things WVU sports. I'm your host, Ian McIntyre. Joining me on the show, as always, Tyler Cobb, Matt Howe, and Max Remy behind the camera. Gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very pleased that you guys are returning.
I'm back.
It is glad to have you guys back. It felt off last week.
I saw the show was a little shorter. Still getting content though.
I appreciate that.
Still getting quality. So you guys carried the load. But we are back to our normal ways, thankfully. So I'm happy to be back. Not repping WVU gear right now. I gotta say, I'm repping my Pittsburgh Steelers 7-2.
That's one of the things that I have heard the most from, like, how can you be a West Virginia fan and a Pittsburgh fan?
Well,
but it makes sense.
Pro sports is just different. Like, there's just a different mentality of the pro sports, and then it goes by region. So it's like, if you're closer to DC, you're a Commanders fan. If you're closer to Pittsburgh, depending on where you are in the state, you're a Steelers fan most of the time.
I'm a Rams fan.
You could be a Ravens fan. You're just off.
No, it was Tavon Austin went to the Rams, and that was about the.
Oh, okay.
That was where he was drafted to, him and Stedman Bailey. And that was about the time I started watching a little bit of NFL and NBA. I started watching pro sports way before I started watching college sports.
Now you're knowledgeable in all fields.
All fields.
All fields. So that's good. Now we got a diverse group of podcast hosts here. All right. So segments for today, we're going to go through a recap of the Cincy game, talk a little bit about basketball before that. Then we're going to go on to starting quarterback for the Baylor game, a little bit of comments on Neil Brown. Then we're going to move to our college football playoff bracket as of right now, who we all individually think should be in there. And as always, going to do our Big 12 picks and then preview Baylor.
Sounds like a great day.
All right, let's hop into it. Talking a little bit about basketball, I guess we'll start with the men here. Men beat UMass at home, 75-69. Great performance from Tucker DeVries as always. Great performance from Javon Small. Who impressed you the most? I know you had the stats pulled up earlier.
I still am being consistently impressed by the freshman Jonathan Powell. I think moving forward, he's going to play a large impact. He obviously come off the bench, 10 points, and a rebound. But coming off the bench, when your highest score was Tucker DeVries with 17, and you're scoring 10 of those, double digits off the bench, that's pretty good. So I'm hoping to see that he continues his progression moving forward.
Definitely. Bench guys are always super important in basketball. You always need a guy that can come off the bench and give you double digits just to get some momentum rolling. And I think in the second half of the game, UMass started to come back. We had 3-minute splits, 5-minute splits where we just couldn't get a bucket. And UMass had the momentum on their side. So I talk a lot about momentum in football, but momentum is doubly as important in basketball.
It can play a huge impact.
So luckily we were able to hold on at the end of the game there and prove to 2-0. Yep. So men's team looking good. Let's move on to the women.
Cooking. Absolutely cooking.
On Saturday, played Niagara in the Coliseum. Women score 110 points to Niagara's 41, a 69-point victory.
I tell you what, we didn't really talk about Darren DeVries. 2-0 in the Darren DeVries era, so he's kicking it off really strong. But Mark Kellogg, Neil Brown needs to take a page out of his book because they're up 40, 50 points in the third quarter, fourth quarter, and he's still having the girls press. I mean, it is just hard-nosed basketball, and they never get tired. They never give up on each other. Like, it is just, you can tell that the chemistry is there. They're willing to put the pressure. And if you watched, like, the Iowa game last year that, should have went the other way. But that was how they kept Iowa out of it. Or I should say they kept themselves in the game versus Iowa. They were pressuring. And I think we're going to see a lot of that, and that is what's going to let West Virginia women's basketball be successful going forward.
I agree with that. I feel like the full court press style of basketball is bringing back the Press Virginia moniker to the school. So
Javon Carter, shout out.
We desperately need that back. We need that identity. Matt, for you on the women's team, who was the most impressive
I think I know who you're going to say.
For you?
I'm going to say Jordan Thomas. Came off the bench, had 14 points, just was completely dominant in the paint.
Had a couple and ones.
That's not who I thought you were going to say.
I know it's not who you thought I was going to say. All around, our starters were pretty solid. Jordan Harrison had another great game, 21 points. Sidney Shaw with 20.
That's who I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. Kyle Watson had 13 rebounds. And what was the turnover margin here?
Something crazy. We had like
God.
we had
Hold on.
over
like 42.
I got it
think.
right here.
we had over 40 turnovers.
Yeah, it was total turnover 44 to 16.
44. Yeah.
We get 44
They
turnovers.
had more turnovers than they had points.
Yeah.
And that comes back
That's
to
Mountaineer ball.
that press Virginia that they're playing. I mean, Mark Kellogg has developed an identity of just pressure, make them turn the ball over and score off turnovers, and that's what they did.
I agree. Yeah. If we keep playing defense like that, we can beat anybody in the nation. I don't care if it's South Carolina. We're gonna fight.
I mean,
So-
we shot 84 field goals to their 52.
Yeah.
If you're shooting 30 more field goals than the other team, you're going to win a lot of times, unless you're just absolutely not hitting shots. But they were 47% from the field. That's pretty good.
And talking about the camaraderie that Mark Kellogg has built within the team, looking at the first game that the women played against Towson, I think it was Towson, our first game.
I think so.
We struggled a little bit in the first half. We were down at some points, and it looked kind of suspect, but we came back, rallied, and won by over 40. So I feel like it took them a little bit to glue together, but once they did, they found that identity they've been building all offseason, and even from the season before, we retained a lot of players from that team.
We held, I didn't know this one. We held the Purple Eagles to under 10 in 2 of the 4 quarters. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Good game overall.
Yep, definitely. So women move from number 16 to number 15 in this week's AP poll. So
A little bit of a boost.
and I expect them to move even higher if they keep displaying the talent like they have been. So women take on Pitt tomorrow. By the time you guys see this, you already know the results, but we're hoping for a victory in Pittsburgh.
A little backyard brawl action.
Definitely. Always exciting, except for this year.
You didn't have to do us like that.
Well, people were thinking it.
Yeah,
So
well.
I just had to say it. I'm sorry, America.
Yeah.
All right, let's move.
Happy Veterans Day, by the way.
Happy Veterans
When
Day.
we're recording, it is Veterans Day, so thank you to all the veterans who have served our country.
It's Veterans Day for about 9 more minutes.
Yeah, we're recording pretty late, so we got it, but we got it in time.
We're grinding.
Yeah.
We're grinding it out. All right, let's move on to the football game. So Mountaineers roll into Cincinnati and find a way at the end of the game to win, 31-24. I don't want to dive too deep into the stats as of yet. I'm sure we'll get to them as we converse. But
This was a stressful game to watch.
Oh my goodness.
And
Especially when you're in the Coliseum watching a basketball game at the same time.
yeah, I think it was you who said that this game, the first half point differential was exactly the same as with the Arizona game.
Yeah. We had I don't know if it was first half or just at one point in the game. We led 24-7 against Arizona, and we led 24-7 against Cincy.
And I think we finished out similarly, where we just didn't really have a lot out. Didn't really score, kind of just played to not lose, which seems to be when we lose the most games this season. But again, we held out for this one. So what do you think about that?
I'm not happy.
I know you got a lot to say on this. I've been waiting all night.
I would like to preface by saying we won the game, and I'm happy that we won the game. But I am not happy about how we played. So I'm going to start with the positives, and that is the fact that Jeff Coons, I don't know what he's done, and the defense still wasn't incredible in terms of pass coverage or contain against the quarterback. Brendan Sorsby got out of the pocket several times and took off and ran. He didn't run for a ton.
I see 48 here on 14
Let me
carries.
pull it up. 48 on 14. Brendan Sorsby?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure about that?
I'm reading it right here.
Fact check.
Yeah, you're right. It was Corey Connor that carried 25 for 91. But Brendan Sorsby got out of the pocket several times, and we lost contain on him. So, stopping that was not great, But as far as like the mindset going into this game, it felt a lot different than it has previous games. And more importantly, the ability to force turnovers. So that is what changed the feel of the game. Had Brendan Sorsby not made two really bad decisions, and the first one was the pick six by Anthony Wilson, and then the second one was like, I don't know if it was supposed to be a backwards pass or if he just got hit on a forward pass, and it got hit out. But Tyron Bradley picked that up and for a scoop and score. And so that was really the momentum shift. And so the last time West Virginia scored two defensive touchdowns in the same game was against the team we play next week in 2013. It was against Baylor in 2013. That was the last time we'd scored two defensive touchdowns in a game. And the last time we scored a defensive touchdown, I don't remember the exact game, but I want to say it was like Townsend in 22 or Kansas in 22. It was a game in 2022. So that was the last time we had scored a defensive touchdown. And up to this point, it's just like turnovers we have not gotten any of them. And so you force, what did we force? 3? I know 2 of them got returned for touchdowns, and I think we forced 3 turnovers. Excuse me. Yeah, 3. We won the turnover battle 3-1. So that was the good part. Then you talk about the bad part. 9 first downs for the offense. That is not cutting it. Not cutting it at all. The last time that happened and West Virginia won with 9 or fewer first downs was 1973 against Maryland.
Man,
that's not good.
That is not a stat you want to bring into the current era.
And so I want to talk. This is where we kind of get into the comments on Neil Brown a little bit. We can still talk about some more stats on the games, but I think Neil Brown is so limiting of the offense. And I was tweeting with somebody earlier. Neil Brown thinks that that Justin Robinson in particular, he thinks he's an NFL talent. He said that in his presser come out earlier today. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But let me ask you something. If he is, why is he not getting more looks? And if he is, why is he not getting more separations? Because in my opinion, so far the best 2 receivers have been Huddy Tuddy and Traylon Ray. And so are we calling all 3 of those guys NFL talent?
I wouldn't.
I know Traylon and Huddy are young. So
yeah,
that's got to be taken into consideration.
Definitely whenever I watch any Mountaineer game or have watched any Mountaineer game this season, no matter their stat line, you can just look at them and see they have raw talent, but it's the transformative process and the evolution of their game that will prove that in time. They need more time.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I was tweeting with somebody earlier today, and we were kind of arguing, and it irks me that if we have that talent at wide receiver, and Neil Brown is claiming that we have that talent at wide receiver, why are they not getting more looks? Justin Robinson has made some incredible catches this year. We all remember the one against Pitt, and he made a long catch this game. So why is he not getting more looks? And a big issue is the fact that you're only throwing the ball 15 times.
Yeah.
Nico did not have a great game. 9 for 15, 156-yard touchdown, and an interception. And then obviously he had did he have a passing touchdown?
Yeah.
Who's it to?
It was to Justin Robinson.
You're right. So Nico had 2, one on the ground and one through the air. You're right. I don't remember what I was going to say.
And then losing the train of thought.
My point is, we shouldn't have won this game. If you look at the stats, everything says, if you just looked at the stat sheet and not the final score, Cincinnati out-yarded us they had 436 yards, we had 248. They had 279 passing yards to 156 passing yards. Brendan Sorsby was 25 for 36. Nico was 9 for 15. The only difference on the game was the turnover battle, and we scored twice on turnovers. They didn't.
Sorsby also had 2 lost fumbles.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, for me, we can break down the stats all that we want. For me, in the third quarter, it was 24-7. We were up 24-7. What transpired?
Neil Brown.
What transpired? That's my main disappointment. Definitely offensively, we were restricted, and like you were saying, it's probably a coaching issue. But let's talk a little bit about the defense. I know you were talking about our identity change and bringing up those stats. I know you said earlier you wanted to highlight Fatorma Mulba.
Yes, I think he had a huge game. Oh, okay.
Go
I
into
thought
it.
you were going to say something else.
No, go into it.
He had 13 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, and there it is. That's where I was going to look. He had 22 total tackles coming into this game on the season, and he had 13 alone that game. I don't remember the last time it had happened. I heard that on another show, but for that to happen from a defensive tackle position is pretty ridiculous because a lot of times the running back is getting to the linebackers or safeties, and that's who ends up with the most tackles in a game. But for a D tackle to have 13 total tackles and 5 of them be solo, that's a heck of a game by Fatorma Mulba. He needs to be featured heavily going forward, and he'll make a huge impact on that D-line.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like he was a key piece in transforming our identity this week. He should be getting a pretty nice card in NCAA Ultimate Team. I would assume he better be getting a nice one. Going down the list again, Josiah Trotter, 12 total tackles, solid as always. Anthony Wilson, 11 tackles.
And a pick six return.
And Trey Lathan, 8 tackles. Still pretty solid.
So that's what I'm saying. The rest of those were either linebackers or safeties.
Yeah, and then you have Mulba up
Yeah,
there.
he just sticks out like a sore thumb in a good way.
Yeah, it's awesome. So go ahead and talk about the special teams a little bit, because I know you were saying before we started recording that you wanted to hit all 3 sides of the ball.
So I didn't want to, talk too much about the whole of special teams, but as Neil has said in his previous press conferences, other than that blocked punt against Pitt, special teams has played really well. I think Preston Fox played a huge role in this win, just flipping the field in general. He had a 43-yard kick return and a 29-yard punt return. He averaged 28 yards on his kick returns. Having 2 really long returns like that absolutely changes the game in terms of a field, flipping the field perspective, because West Virginia did not have a good game on offense. So if you're not going to have a good game on offense, you're going to want to pin Cincinnati deep every time they have the ball. And Preston Fox on his own did that. I want to give credit to where credit is due on the blockers and then just tackling on kickoffs and punting, excuse me.
Yeah.
So all around a good game from the kick return team, punt return team, and the special teams on, defending.
Yeah, definitely. We got to highlight that. And being a Steelers fan this season, we see the special teams showing out. And I definitely saw the bright spots for the special teams in this Cincinnati game. Like you were saying, Preston Fox, awesome kick returns. So overall for me, very happy we won this game. We improved to 5-4 on the season. Looking for 1 more game out of 3 to be bowl eligible. That's my goal for the year. I'm not entirely sure where we're going to end up. I feel like this late in the season, it's kind of useless to make a record projection. But I look for us to make a bowl game, and we'll get to that later. But
what about quarterback? This was important.
I think Nico did what he had to do in the Cincinnati game. I don't think he was perfect by any means. Only throwing for 50% completions in the Cincy game, but I feel like he should still get the starting job for Baylor. You're keeping Garrett Green safer still for his injury recovery. I don't know. Nico has, again, like I was talking about on the last episode I was on, I don't question Nico's decision-making in the pocket. And if Garrett Green were to go and throw in the pocket, I would need to see that again to be for sure how I would feel between the two. But for now, Nico has won us games.
He's 3-0 as the starter.
Yeah. So I feel like by that raw result, you should start him against Baylor. Especially if you're going to retain Nico next year and all we're doing this year is to look to make a bowl game. I mean, obviously we're looking to win out. and somehow we are still in this Big 12 title hunt. Mathematically, we are still in it. But I just feel like by the 3-0 record that Nico has being the starter, Nico should continue until proven otherwise. And even though the offense was constricted in the Cincinnati game, they managed to get the job done. Like, it wasn't all defense or all special teams. It was the offense as well. They performed. So, for me, I feel like Nico starts. I'm interested to hear what you think.
Matt?
I'm with you. I think Nico's done pretty well. Again, the game against Cincinnati was not quite as good from him as we've seen so far this season. But, if you win the game, right? So, and also, like you said, Green's been injured. He has been practicing. He was in uniform for the game, but obviously didn't play. I don't know. I mean, it'll be a coaching decision. And we know how those go. So I guess we'll see. But I think Nico's earned the starting spot, especially just where we are in the season and how we've done up to this point. So I wouldn't say, I wouldn't switch it up when you're on a good run.
Fair enough. Tyler.
I don't think it matters. And I'll tell you why. Not in a good reason. I think Nico has played well enough, and like you said, there's raw results. He's 3-0 as the starter. I think he's played well enough to earn that spot compared to what Garrett has done. Where I don't think it matters is the fact that I don't think either of them are going to thrive the rest of the season. Because if you guys watch Carson Fox on West Virginia football, I think that's his channel name or something like that. I had a conversation well, not really a conversation. I commented on one of his videos and he commented back. It is like Neil has completely swapped. So when we talk about Garrett, all season we were like, why is he not letting Garrett, roll out of the pocket, run the ball, do what he's special at? But now that Nico's in, and I thought it improved a little bit against Arizona, but 15 pass attempts against Cincinnati? 15. Other teams are going for like 30 a game. Brendan Storesby threw the ball 36 times. 36 times.
Hold on, which reminds me, I got that stat wrong. He threw 60%. Nico threw 60%, 9 for 15.
Yeah.
Right, so I said 50. I apologize.
That's all good.
60%. Anyway.
So Nico has proven in the Arizona game that he can throw it across the middle. And he had 2 throws, one to Traylon and one Justin Robinson, that he proved he can throw it deep. Why is he only allowed to throw the ball 15 times? So that is where I think it doesn't matter. Because either way, Neil Brown, he has not done a good job at coaching up to this point. And so I think whoever's in, he's going to find a way to restrict them because that's just what he does.
Like,
in terms of who I think is better and who I think should start, it's Nico. But I don't think it matters in terms of performance we're going to get because either way, I think they're going to be restricted by Neil Brown.
that's a fair point. And as soon as you said it, I knew that's what you were going to say. I do agree that there has been a coaching limitation this year. And I think it mainly came after the losses to Iowa State and Kansas State. I think it came somewhere in there where it was more shifting mentality of we need to play to not lose the games we're not supposed to lose. Like you were saying, Neil Brown is particularly a coach that doesn't play to win. He plays not to lose. He plays on the safer side of the ball.
And you can see it in this game again.
You can see it in the stats. Less total yards than Cincinnati, right? And that's just the one that jumps out at you more than any other.
Like the play call, you remember the one that they intercepted from Nico? It was in the end zone. It was, I think, 3rd and 3, I think. And why is he throwing a deep ball on 3rd and 3 when you have a 240-pound running back in the backfield?
Right.
Run or throw across the middle. You have 6'7" Cole Taylor, and you have 240-pound C.J. Donaldson. Either run up the middle or throw a slant or an in or an out to Cole Taylor.
Right. And then there are other calls where it would be advantageous to pass, and we ran.
It makes no sense.
So that's definitely where it crops up to me as a coaching issue. I'm definitely not the only one that sees that. We're definitely not the only ones that see that. That's why people are so vocal about certain Neil Brown happenings. But that's the way it is. And I feel like that's the way it's going to be for the rest of the season. I still do think we can win out that way, but I don't like to have that thought in my head.
What, winning out?
No, not
Get your hopes up.
Not win. Yeah, I mean,
Because
Yeah.
should we talk about the increased chances of making the playoff?
We might as
Not
well.
playoff, Big 12.
Big 12. Well, we might as well. We're here.
That's true.
So, with the Iowa State loss to Kansas this week, and BYU still going undefeated, I'm trying to think who else.
So, well, it was mainly the Iowa State one.
Right.
Because Kansas State already has 2 losses, one to BYU and now one to Houston.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Iowa State has 2 losses to Texas Tech. And who did they just? Kansas.
Kansas. So we're tied with them in the Big 12 standings for record.
But me misunderstanding the tiebreaker rules is what had me thinking that a lot more had to go right. First of all, you need 3 things. There is still a chance. This season is so bad in terms of what we expected, and there's still a chance to make it there.
For the Big 12. The Big 12, in the words of Josh Pate, is eating itself alive.
Well, I think every conference is doing that. The SEC is doing it too. Every team has a loss in conference. Georgia has 2 losses. Bama's got 2. I mean, every conference is doing that. 3 things need to happen. First and foremost, and the most important, you have to win out. You have 2 games at home that you should not lose. You should not even have. They shouldn't be close. And then you have 1 on the road against Texas Tech, who has played a lot better. Just beat one of the teams that beat the crap out of you on your home field in Texas Tech. That's the hardest game left. You need to win those 3 first and foremost. And then you need 2 more things to go your way. This isn't the easiest scenario. Obviously, there's more. Everybody above us could lose out. That's not going to happen. But the easiest and most likely path that West Virginia has to the Big 12 championship is that, win out. Iowa State needs to win out, or in the very least beat Kansas State. And then Colorado needs to lose 1 more. That's the 3 things you need to happen. And the reason I would misunderstood it is because I thought even if there were 3 or 4 teams tied, the head-to-head would still put Iowa State above us. That's not true. If there's more than 2 teams tied, it goes to the second step and skips the head-to-head.
Okay.
And it just goes to record against conference opponents. And
it's common opponents, right?
yep. And so that puts us ahead of both Colorado and Iowa State in terms of if we're all 7-2 in conference. Now, mind you, Colorado would have to lose 1 and 1 only. So our fate isn't in our hands, unfortunately. Right now, all you can control is winning out.
Yeah.
But that's your chances, and I think it's small.
And so there, it is definitely greater than the chart I saw the other day on Instagram. I think it was 24/7 Sports. It said teams that have a 1% or less chance of making the playoffs, and West Virginia was there.
It's getting it's eking up each time.
I mean, that's also considering we go to Arlington and we win the Big 12 title. But for me, I think it's definitely in the single digits still, lower single digits
it's
of
low
percentage. I'm just saying I'm very interested to see how Shedeur Sanders manages Kobe Bryant and Melo Dotson out there in the Kansas secondary.
Is that their games left?
Yeah, Colorado plays Kansas
Not
before.
this week, but
Not
soon.
this week, but soon. Because, I mean, this is Garrett Green we're talking about, but they picked Garrett Green off twice. 1 each, respectively, Melo Dotson and Kobe Bryant. And Colorado is a very, very, very pass-heavy team. And with a secondary like that, with 2 corners most likely going to play on Sundays,
I could see Utah pulling it off, too. We just saw them compete with BYU.
that's true.
But we only need them to lose 1. So, Colorado,
Yeah.
if you're going to lose 1 and only 1.
Please lose.
Just 1.
Please lose.
We got to win out first. That's the main priority. 1-0 each week. That's what you need to work on.
Speaking of Utah, this BYU and Utah game, and especially Utah's athletic director in the
I don't mind it. I still
interviews
don't mind
after. I feel like it was a little bit of a triggered discussion, if anything. I feel like he let too many thoughts slip than he should have. But honestly, I would have been thinking the same thing. Was it a little bit unclassy? Sure, you could say that. But it's definitely a point of view that I can get behind. But nonetheless, BYU 9-0 now.
Yep.
So I think they're going to play for the title regardless. So
I don't mind him saying what he said. I think he said it under the wrong context because it was a hold, although a weak hold because Jake Retzloff wasn't even looking that way. He got sacked. It really didn't matter. It was a weak call towards the end of the game that was kind of bailoutish. So he said it under the wrong context because it was a hold. But I don't mind him coming out and saying, no, he shouldn't have blamed the Big 12. That was where he shouldn't have. But in terms of saying the refs need to be held more accountable, I absolutely agree with. Too many games are coming down to the calls that ref makes in game time decision making as far as should we have called that hold? And that basically gave BYU the move that they needed. It was 4th and 10. He got sacked. It would have been a safety, I think. And that's the call you make. It was a little weak of a call.
And it's also a Big 12 ref.
Well, yeah, I think that's why you blame the Big 12 a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think refs should be held more accountable?
Yes.
They're never held accountable.
No, they're not. I think it'd be very interesting and maybe enlightening, and I wonder what the effect on play calling would be if they had to do post-game interviews.
The question,
or like a post-game press conference.
Question is, how would you hold them accountable?
That's a good question.
Fines?
Well, no, because you're going to
they'd be fined every game.
You're going to make mistakes. That's just part of it. You look at like baseball, and they do the electronic like batter's box and whatever. It's like how much more technologically advanced you'd have to be to have something like that set up for football, and then to be able to translate that. It's like that having the referees on the field is the way to is the way to have the competition and make it fair. Unless they're literally throwing the game one way or the other, and I don't think they do, and I don't think they did in that case. Other than that, you're dealing with people, and you're dealing with people when you play the game. Even if there were no refs out there and it was all analyzed by computers, at what point are you having a sport versus, everyone's just upset because their team of robots didn't win? You have to go back to you're playing a sport. It's all about the people. It's not about the lines and whatever, the stats. It's all about the people. I think
they should implement a challenge rule into college football like they did the NFL. You can obviously time out, and that would have the refs review the play, but I think they should implement a red flag challenge. So because say Utah ended up winning the game, BYU fans would have been looking back and blaming the refs because of the completely, not a missed face mask, but they actually called it a face mask, and it wasn't. The BYU defender had a hold of his chest right below his face mask, and it turned his head and made it look like a face mask, and they called it. It was not a face mask. That was like a 25-yard swing because it ended up being sacked for about 7-8 yards, and then you have the 15-yard penalty. So instead of 7 yards back, they're 15 yards forward.
Yeah. In my opinion about this whole thing, I see Matt's perspective of it has a human element to it. Like that's the nature of the game. Mm-hmm. And people are going to make mistakes, and refs always make mistakes. And I guess you could say it's expected, and it's okay to see incidents like that. I think it happens too often in way too many circumstances. That's where it becomes a little bit of a problem for me. Now, obviously, I have my bias where I'm watching the Mountaineers and I see a missed call like that. And I'm always, no matter what, going to end up seeing it in WVU's favor, no matter how it works out. So, from the AD's perspective, he's always going to see it in Utah's favor. Now, he's going to have an objective view, sure, about the game, but whenever you're watching it in real time, you're going to get heated. And whenever you have to go in front of the media, you're going to get heated. So, for me, I think there are just too many mistakes, and I think it's correctable. Now, the way in which we go about correcting it, I think, is still yet to be determined. I do think, the officiating training is getting more rigorous, which is a good thing. But I think with the powerful abilities that we have of the replay system, why not implement challenges? And the refs, I guess, need to learn how to use it better to stop these incidents from happening, like out-of-bounds calls, face masks, horse collar tackles, a lot of these things, holds even, that are hard to see in real time, why not go take a look at the camera? What are you going to waste? 30 seconds?
Like you don't want to do it too much to the fact where you're stopping the game every minute and a half and stopping momentum.
Right.
But it should be you're allowed to challenge a game. And
yeah,
if there
so I
is
like that idea
if
with
there's
the like a challenge flag.
if
And
there,
we have the capability to go back and look at these plays. I mean, we do it all the time. They put it up on the jumbotron, and they're sitting down on the sideline in their little box, and they're going through and rewinding, and they got 9 camera angles and all that. We have the capability to do it.
bless you, Jit.
Um,
One thing that irks me, and we see it. I saw it a lot especially for the Texas Tech Colorado game where Shador got hit on a roughing the passer. That is so bad nowadays, and
I agree.
like Tom Brady's perspective on it. The game is officiated so much in favor of the offense that it becomes impossible for the defense to make plays. If you have ever watched Tom Brady talk about Ray Lewis and how he had to scheme an offense because Ray Lewis would hit a guy so hard that he would have to not throw in the middle of the field. He knew if he was throwing in the middle of the field, Ray Lewis was going to be there and he was going to knock out his players for the game. And I'm not saying that it's good to injure somebody, but I'm saying that a roughing the passer call, there are some. If you watch Josh Pate, he made a video on it in week 2 or 3. There are some roughing the passers hits that should be used as teaching tape, not as this was a penalty. I mean, clean hits, hard hits, yes, but that's football. Clean hit as the quarterback is throwing the ball, and they are calling it a roughing the passer call. So it takes away the defense's ability to make plays, because if you hit a guy too hard or at just the wrong angle or at just the wrong time because you can't stop momentum or you accidentally lowered your head a little bit too much, it's targeting, it's roughing the passer, it's unnecessary roughness. It is so, the officiating is so, I can't remember what I said earlier.
it's touch and
offense.
go.
It's so used towards the offense's favor is what I was trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. It kind of has to be now, which I don't say that because I think it should be towards the offense, because I don't. I feel like it should be evenly distributed. But the way that our entertainment value is affected by officiating is definitely a discussion that officials have. They try to, they try to work out camera angles. They try to work out fan perspective at home and in the stadium. And it affects how they call things, which is why I think a lot of the calls that come down to the end of the game are so controversial. Because they have a lot of these talks behind closed doors. Now, I'm not saying they're rigging the games. I don't think they're rigging the games. But they have a lot of these discussions
I don't
away
know,
from
man.
people.
Iowa, West Virginia women's basketball game.
All right, I kind of gotta agree with you there. I'm not gonna lie. You got me on that one.
That is the most rigged a game has ever felt.
Yeah,
Is all I will say.
you got me on that one. But anyway,
We'll stop yapping about referees.
yeah. For you guys watching, let us know what you think about the Cincinnati game, about basketball. Feel free to chime in about that stuff. Officiating, Neil Brown, quarterback controversy that we're still somehow having. But let us know what you guys think.
Everything about West Virginia football is controversial.
Yep. Like and comment. All right, let's move on to some spicy content with the college football playoff bracket.
Some spicy content.
Spicy.
Bleep.
Spicy content.
This is very spicy content because we all have way different things, at least as far as I'm
we
aware.
did just throw it together.
Yeah. So my thing is, I don't have a completed bracket. The only thing I have is
Who you think will make it?
right. I have who I think will make it, and then who I think will win the title. You
Okay.
have a completed bracket. I think Matt over there has a
I
completed
have
bracket.
a completed
I don't.
bracket.
Yeah, completed. I just have who I think is going to make it. I think right now that should be the main concern. So I want to start with Matt's, actually. I feel like Matt should go, and then I'll go, and then you give yours, and then we can talk a little bit.
All right. Top 4 seeds. Number 1, Texas. They're winning the SEC. They're going all the way. I still have them as the champions. Number 2 seed, Oregon. Number 3 seed is SMU.
Wow.
Number
that's not-
4 seed is Boise.
Okay.
Nobody else really matters. I have other people all through the top 12. These are my picks. Okay. I have Indiana ranked 5. I have them beating Notre Dame.
I'm sorry, Mary.
What has happened?
Jit took a picture
Oh,
for the
okay.
gram.
He's
Yeah.
taking pictures. I have
Keep
Indiana.
talking.
Indiana beats Notre Dame. I think Indiana beats Boise and then falls to Texas. In Texas's corner, I have Tennessee and Penn State. I think Penn State loses to Tennessee, who then loses to Texas. In the other corner, where Oregon is, I have Georgia-Bama. I think Georgia gets revenge and then falls to Oregon. In SMU's corner, I have BYU, Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss wins that and then falls to SMU, then falls to Oregon. In the head-to-head, Texas-Oregon, I think Texas gets it. It is very possible that some of these teams will be in the actual playoff, but we'll see. We will see.
Okay, cool. So that's not completely that is not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, even disregarding what we've seen so far in college football this year with all the craziness going on.
I have a couple questions for his.
Okay.
So first, I'll talk about the less controversial one first. BYU Boise. Do you think BYU loses a game? And that was what puts Boise ahead of them.
No. But I don't think.
So if BYU wins out, you think the committee would still put Boise ahead of them?
I think it's possible because their only loss is to who's currently the number 1 ranked team, and it was a close game. BYU has had a couple close losses to teams like Oklahoma State, close. They haven't lost yet. Maybe won't lose, but they've had close games with teams like Oklahoma State, who's having a pretty horrible, uncharacteristically horrible year. So I don't know exactly how they're going to make their decision, but I think I would stand by putting Boise ahead.
Okay.
And then
Let me piggyback off of that because I watched some of the Boise State game this week. They had a close game with Nevada.
That is true.
So
it's a rivalry game, isn't it, though?
I think it is a rivalry game. But anyways,
I wonder how much the rivalry factor.
I mean, we called it on last week's show with BYU and Utah.
Yeah.
But I think that Oklahoma State being close with BYU is a lot more respectable than Boise being close to Nevada when you consider that they have the Heisman favorite on their team, who did ball out in that game.
Yeah,
As always.
that's their second highest rival.
Okay.
And you got to think about it too. Is Nevada isn't really playing for much anymore. They're last in the Mountain West, I think. So they're fighting. A team that isn't fighting for something is really dangerous. And I don't mean that in terms of they're better than you. It's in terms of trap game. So I don't really view the Nevada being close as like a bad win for Boise.
No, I'm not up to speed on all the rivalries, but are Boise and BYU rivals?
Shoot, I already.
I think they are. They are.
I think there are some rivals.
That'd be an
That would be
interesting
really, really
playoff
cool
game.
to see them go together there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My second one is, and I'm going to tell you you're wrong on this one because I know your answer.
I know.
Do you think Oregon wins out? Because you have them as a conference champion because you have them top 4.
I think it's possible. Let's see. They play Ohio State.
They already
towards the
played
end.
Ohio State.
They already played it.
They
Let's
won.
See, I have to look
What?
at their
This
schedule.
casual,
again.
man. It's casual.
I have to look at
I
their
think
schedule
Oregon
again.
wins out.
If Oregon wins out and wins the Big Ten, they will not rank Texas above Oregon.
I agree with that statement. Yeah, I think you're right. I'd swap Oregon. And
But other than
Texas
that,
here.
I don't hate anything on
But
your
other than
list.
that, I think I stand by this being a total possibility that probably won't happen.
I don't hate it. Moving on.
All right. So Let me just read off my list. I'm not going to go in depth like Matt did because, like I said earlier, I don't have the completed bracket of everybody. But my seeds are as follows. These could be a little wonky because maybe I didn't think it 100% through. I thought it 90% through with the seeding and how all that works. But anyway, number 1, I have Oregon. I have Oregon winning out. I don't have Oregon losing. I have them winning the Big Ten, so I have them number 1. Number 2, I have Texas. I feel like Texas will win the SEC still against Texas A&M, their final game of the year. I think they pull that one out. Number 3, I have Miami. This is where I differ with Matt and Tyler. I think Miami will still win the ACC. Now, it's going to be difficult against SMU because SMU is a hell of a team, but I still have them winning the ACC. And then number 4, I got Boise State. I think Boise will be higher ranked than the Big 12.
So again, do you think that BYU loses a game?
No.
But you think Boise will be ranked?
Wait. Yes, I do think BYU loses a game.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, I do think BYU loses. I don't know why I said no initially. It just seems like BYU is sort of on a Miami run right now, where they're going to lose a game they shouldn't.
It's too close.
Right. That's the vibe I'm getting from them, and that's why I'm putting Boise at number 4.
I do feel like they're slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
They just find ways to win, man.
They do. I mean, against their biggest rival. Anyway, those are my top 4. Number 5, I have BYU. Number 6, I have Indiana. I'm not sure. Indiana could very well lose to Ohio State, but still, I don't think that takes away from what they've done this season. Number 7, I have Ohio State right behind them. Again, you could interchange depending maybe on that game's result. I don't know. Number 8, I have Penn State. Number 9, Notre Dame. Number 10, Alabama. 11, Tennessee. And then 12, I have Army at the 12 seed. And then my pick for national champion, I'm going to stick to it. Like I've said, Oregon. I have Oregon winning the whole thing.
Okay. I thought really hard about this and even went into some schedule things, and I've got some hot takes. Number 1, I think Oregon wins out. I think Oregon wins the Big Ten, and I don't have Ohio State beating or losing to them. So I don't have Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. Number 2, I have Texas. Same thing. I really consider that Texas A&M game because I don't know if Texas is going to win that. I have a high intuition that Texas will lose that game to Texas A&M. But as of right now, I'm going to say Texas wins the SEC. Number 3, also think BYU wins out. And they end up winning a Big 12. And 4, like Matt, I have SMU. Did you have him 4th or 3rd?
You had him 4th or 3rd?
Third.
Okay.
I have SMU 4th. I think they win the SEC, or not the SEC. I think they win the ACC against Clemson. As of right now, I think if Clemson, Miami, and SMU all win out, which is what I believe will happen, Clemson and SMU is in it. I think Clemson owns the tiebreaker over Miami. But I think Miami wins out, which is one of my hot takes. So that's the top 4. 5, I have, where is 5? Indiana, who I have winning out, beating Ohio State, but losing to Oregon in the Big Ten championship. So they're 6. No, 5. 6, I have Boise, also winning out and winning the Mountain West. 7, I have Penn State, win out. They're not in the Big Ten championship, so they'd just be an 11-1 team. 8, Notre Dame, also 11-1 team. They're not in a conference. 9, Tennessee, which I have winning out, so beating Georgia and losing to Texas in the SEC championship. Ole Miss 10. I think I have them winning out, so they'd be the first 10-2 team. 11, Alabama, also winning out, but they wouldn't play in the SEC championship, so they'd be a little lower, 10-2. I have Ole Miss slightly above Alabama. And then 12, I have Ohio State. This is where some controversy comes in. I have Ole Miss, Alabama, and Ohio State in all as 2-loss teams over an 11-1 Miami team. I think that's how that ends up playing out. Notre Dame loses to Tennessee in round 1. Ohio State gets revenge on Indiana. Penn State loses to Ole Miss in round 1. Is that rematch game from last year? I think they played in Ole Miss won, didn't they?
In the playoff, the 14.
No, it was a bowl game, one of the New Year's Six.
Bowl game.
I believe it was.
I do believe it was.
I think Ole Miss won. Look it up. Fact check.
looking it
Hot take number 47 or how many I have. Some real spicy content. Boise beating Alabama in a home road game.
That would be
Ashton
really fun.
Genty.
It was the Peach Bowl, December 30th of 23. 38-25 Ole Miss.
Elite ball knowledge.
Thanks, Google.
Oregon beats Tennessee. Ohio State beats SMU. So notice I have a 2-loss Ohio State game making it past 2 rounds. And
Yeah.
another hot pick coming next. Texas loses to Ole Miss.
Very hot take.
Boise keeping things rolling beats BYU.
I can see that.
So my final 4 are Oregon, Ohio State playing each other, Ole Miss, Boise playing each other. Ohio State gets revenge on the 2 teams that they lost to in Indiana and Oregon. And Ole Miss, after losing to Kentucky and somebody else that I can't remember. No, it wasn't South Carolina. Look it up. Fact check again. Ole Miss has lost 2. They beat Boise State. The miracle run ends. Ole Miss versus Ohio State in the Natty. Ole Miss wins it all after losing 2 games in the regular season
It was LSU.
to LSU. Couple hot takes in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, I want to see both of these timelines happen. I would love to watch all of those.
We could
All of those
simulate it
outcomes.
on College Football 25.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how good that game's official system is for working that out, but honestly, I can see it.
I think this is going to prove some things wrong and some things right about why the college football playoff at 12 teams is bad and good. One thing that I think it's going to prove to people why it's bad is because you're going to have, in my model specifically, you'll have 2 rematches of the regular season in Oregon playing Ohio State twice and Ohio State playing Indiana twice. So that's rematch number 1.
Now, I wonder, is that a coincidence that happens? Because, in terms of the cinematic experience of the season, that's fantastic. But how often would that actually happen?
I mean, it's pretty likely.
Well,
Think about it. I've got 3 teams that Ohio State played in the playoff that they could potentially meet. Let's say Ohio State makes it. They play Indiana, they play Oregon, and they play Penn State.
Yeah.
That's 3 rematches, which is one reason why I don't like the 12-team playoff, because I think it takes away from the regular season. That game against Penn State means nothing if they meet up in the playoff and Penn State wins.
Yeah, that's fair. I wonder how often the rematches could occur. I think that might be... I think you might be tipping the scales a little bit here to do that.
I think it happens quite often. So then the second problem I have with the 12-team college football playoff is the fact that SMU gets the auto bid. To be fair, in my eyes, in a ranking system, SMU deserves to be there, but they're going to get their butt kicks if they play Ohio State.
We might see.
We might see. And then the third thing that proves people wrong, but could also prove people, let's say Alabama beats the crap out of Boise, then people are going to get over the G5 getting an auto bid. But if Boise makes a run like this and competes with Ole Miss, then you can't really say anything about the G5 having an auto bid now. Given this is a special team. Ashton Genty's a special player.
So far, I think we can agree that we have not had a perfect playoff system to determine the national champion in quite a long time, if ever. So I've always thought about this as an extreme but fun hypothetical.
I don't think it's the playoffs' fault as much as the conference's fault.
Okay.
Because if you think about, let's say you have, let's go back to, I don't remember what year it was, but go back to when the Southwest Conference existed, the Big 8 and the Big East. All teams in every conference played each other. And let's say you get an auto bid in that case. So say you have an 18 playoff, 1 G5 bid, whatever. In that case, every team has played every team in their conference, and so the conference champion knows that they're the best team in that conference because they played everybody else. And so then you have all the best teams of every conference. And then basically you're just saying, hey, who was the best conference? Because the best team in the best conference is likely going to win the championship. So I don't see it as much of a playoff problem as I do conference problem. Little, foreshadowing to a future segment I think we should do in the offseason.
Fair. What I would like to see if injuries and fatigue were not a factor, I would like to see a NCAA style bracket of 32 teams.
That'd be sweet.
Oh, like a March Madness bracket?
Yeah, like sort of like that. Because you think about it, if you win the national title, you're playing 5 extra games on top of your regular season, which those guys really can't handle, at least not well, because they already play 12 games. They'd be playing basically an NFL schedule. So I don't know how people would feel about that, but I don't know if that would make it more fair or not, but it would definitely make it more entertaining, and it would leave more room for upsets and more teams that have the talent and deserve to be included in the playoffs, but may not because of the...
Well, see, I don't think it would make a difference because the good teams are... You have to realize college football is a lot more chalky than basketball. Basketball, if a team is hot that night. And that's what gives you the... You remember Jack Golke, the guy that hit 10 threes against Kentucky in round 1?
Yeah.
That's the type of game where it's like, hey, this team is hot tonight. They're not missing, whereas Kentucky is coming out slow. And that's what fuels those, miracle runs in March Madness. You don't see that in college football. You'll see an upset here and there, but you don't really see Cinderella stories in college football.
Except South Florida in 2007.
My mind doesn't go back that far. I don't know how.
I have no idea.
South Florida in 2007, I mean, this is the 2007 season we're talking about. They were ranked number 18 or number 16 in week 5, and West Virginia went into Florida. West Virginia was ranked number 5, and South Florida was 16 or 18. South Florida won that game and gave us...
In 7?
Yeah, in 2007.
I think you're mistaken.
It was the 06-07 season.
So not the
It was
Pitt,
21 to
not the Pitt
13.
loss season.
It was the Pitt loss season.
I thought we went in the Pitt loss game undefeated.
No. We lost to South Florida that year.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right here, brother.
Are you sure it was the same year?
September 28th. It was a Friday, 8 p.m. game, 21 to 13.
We'll fact check. Everybody's done their
I
thing.
am fact checking.
Well, I'm checking something else.
Okay.
But anyway, that was the biggest win in South Florida history, and it propelled them all the way to their Cinderella ranking.
You're right.
It propelled them all the way to their Cinderella ranking of number 2, and we all know what happened in number 2 that year. They lost to Rutgers. And I'm not saying that...
Well, I mean, it wasn't as bad as the loss I thought. They were ranked 18th at the time.
Yeah, I was saying they were ranked 16 or 18.
I didn't hear you say
But
that.
it was also the fact that they had only been a D1 football program for 6 or... No, they've been a D1 program for 10 years at that point.
Dude, we were killing teams that year.
Yeah, we were. And it's nostalgic. But
nostalgic and painful all at the same time.
yeah. But anyway, my broader point is that it's definitely not like basketball. You're right, where Cinderella runs can happen at any time in the dance and NCAA tournament. But I do feel like Cinderella stories are possible in football. How rare they may be, it's a possibility.
Well, so the thing is, South Florida can go on that, crazy game, have a crazy game against the top 5 team in round 1 of the playoffs, but then meet Georgia in round 2, and Georgia just kick their butts. It's much harder to win games in consecutive order, it's much harder to win games in consecutive in football than it is in basketball.
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that concludes this segment. I think that does conclude
so.
this segment. We've had some...
we're going a long time.
Yeah. Let us know what you think of our 3 football brackets, and give us your own. Feel free to comment what you think, what teams will make it, what teams won't, your national title picks. Give us everything. All right, let's move on to Big 12 picks, correct? Mm-hmm. We're on to our Big 12 picks. Is there any way you can pull it up on the TV? Or
Gotcha.
Okay. Awesome. Wait for these to pull up. I'm looking here at them anyway on your computer.
Yep.
Let me see. Is that Houston and Arizona?
Yep.
The first game, Houston goes into Arizona.
Last week, Houston had a bye. Arizona also had a bye.
So fresh legs.
Indeed.
Oh man, this is a difficult one because Houston's riding a wave of momentum and Arizona is not. But when you look at the game, you can still tell there's a talent discrepancy.
In terms of Arizona?
Yeah. In terms of, like, Tetaroa McMillan, Noah Fafita, as inconsistent as he may be, I still think is a better quarterback. So that's what makes it hard for me. I'm going to pick Arizona in this game. I think that they get off of their wave of negative energy. Okay, we got it pulled up. Awesome. I think they get off their wave of negative energy and win against a Houston team who is on a pretty good wave of momentum, like I said earlier, but I don't think they can go into Arizona and get the dub. I think Arizona. It's really hard.
Yeah, this is definitely a tough game to pick. I think, I was leaning Houston, but like you said, I'm going to say that, Arizona can find something.
And it's a night game.
Houston, as much as they have been better, against Kansas State and against Utah, they were close games, and sooner or later that is going to stop. And I think this is the one that happens. I think Noah Fafita can have a good game. I'm going to go Arizona.
I am going to go with Houston.
Oh, you know what we didn't say before we move on? We
Let's
didn't
do it
say the
afterwards.
records.
Let's do it afterwards. Let's get through
I
our
think,
picks.
I think we should go first.
You think so?
I think records should say first.
Okay, I like it.
records. If you want to make your if you want to bet, you should go with what me and Matt pick.
Statistically.
Statistically, Ian is 15-16 in the records. We told you I would get the records last week. Me and Matt are tied at 20-11.
And I'm disagreeing with you
picks.
here, so we'll see where we end up.
Yeah, this is a disagreement one. And then Max, he's got the lowest record. The Jit picks aren't working out for you, buddy. You got to get something going.
I will say,
10 and 21.
if you want to be the most accurate, you go with the opposite of what Max picks.
That's insane. But there's no way we can know that because
Well,
he goes
that's not
last
wrong.
in the order.
That's not necessarily.
that's
not necessarily wrong.
It's not.
If
but
you roll the
statistically
dice.
not. But I'm just saying there's no way we can know it before we pick because he goes
I think we
last.
should do this. I think for today, you ask me first so we can see and test out this theory.
And just go on the
Well, I'm just
opposite
saying
of what he
Yes,
says.
no,
Okay.
no. Let's
For
just
the
say
audience.
me first and see if that changes anything.
Moving forward, so we've all. You said Houston,
All right, he already said Houston,
going with
so
Arizona, Houston.
what do you got?
Arizona.
Okay.
So it's not looking good for us three right now.
Looking good for Matt.
Looking good for Matt.
I think Arizona still gets the job done, regardless
too.
of what Matt says.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Next game, Utah rolls into Colorado. Colorado ranked number 20 in the AP. This will be a noon kickoff, so that'll be interesting for the Colorado atmosphere. This is on the upset watch because we were talking about Colorado needing to lose a game, and against Utah and against Kansas, both games seem like a probable upset pick.
Who do they play in the last week of the season? I
Great
feel like
question.
it's Arizona State or something.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma
Oklahoma
State. Well,
that ain't
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
You never
So,
know.
The next two games are crucial for WVU fans in terms of what Colorado couldn't do.
Yes.
And we know Jit's pick on this one. So, Jit, why don't you give us the pick?
Utah.
There it is.
Heck yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's over.
Dan Remy.
The Dan Remy pick. We need to get Dan's thoughts on the BYU game. Anyway, I think Colorado wins this game. This is not my upset pick. However, I do think they get upset by Kansas next week. So that will be my pick for next week. We'll obviously say it again on the next episode. But I have Colorado beating Utah, and Utah is going to take their 6th straight L this week if that happens.
Not looking good.
Not looking good for them.
The old Utes.
I think Shador Sanders throws for 250. But anyway, what do you have? What's your pick?
250. Yeah, I need Colorado to lose one for West Virginia, but I don't think this is the one. So I'm gonna go Colorado. Sorry, Utes. Sorry, Dan.
I'm going to go with Tyler again. I think Colorado wins this.
Okay, so
So we got Utes. Statistically, we should get this pick right.
we're looking good.
Statistically.
We're looking good.
This is from Dan, by the way.
Okay.
Dan's blowing us kisses, boys.
Oh, man. All right. Moving on, we got Arizona State and Kansas State. Kansas State, ranked number 19. Is that a 19 there? Kansas
20.
State.
I got 20.
I say 20 on mine, too.
Maybe it could be.
Huh.
I think ESPN might use the college football playoff 20 top 25,
Oh.
and this might use
ESPN.
AP.
Okay.
Man, I was gonna look something up, and y'all made me forgot.
Arizona State rolls into
Oh, that's what I was gonna do.
Manhattan. I think that Arizona State wins this. Arizona State is on another wave of momentum, and they've looked good all season. They continue to prove us wrong. And I think that does not stop against Kansas State, who, even though it's not necessary, I would like to see lose for our purposes. And looking at the rest of their schedule, I think Arizona State has the best chance to pull this off.
So you think Arizona wins?
I think Arizona State wins
We did
this.
it again. It's supposed to be Jit first.
Oh, my gosh.
Jit, go.
I don't like how I'm coming off of a traumatic head injury, by the way. Just gonna throw that out there.
He is on concussion protocol.
Yes. I don't like how dry it is in Arizona, so I'm going.
Well,
to
it's at
State.
Kansas.
Oh, I got to look at the weather real
Oh.
quick.
Yeah,
It's
look
a-
at the weather. Someone pull up the weather.
It's in Manhattan.
It's
Kansas.
in November. So November. So it should be cooler by now.
Soda
Matt-
machine empty, no vendor.
But you're going with Arizona State.
No, I think I'm gonna go with Kansas State. I don't know.
He likes Kansas State, and you said Arizona State already.
I like Arizona State. Don't play the math here. Play
I'm not
your
playing
heart.
the math. I'm playing my heart.
Play
And
your
my
heart.
heart says Cam Scadaboo's running wild.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to have to go with Tyler on this one, too.
So we got two straight that Mr. Remy has picked against the three of us.
He could gain some ground here.
He
as
could.
well. He could gain some solid ground. I just think
Hold on one
Arizona's-
second. Did we know that Cam Scadaboo is questionable?
I knew he was injured, and I knew he was out last week, but I did not know he was questionable for this week. I thought he was going to be back. Is it just
Can
questionable?
I have a tentative pick?
Is it
for
questionable?
If he's playing?
Is it
That's
questionable
what
or
I'm
is it
seeing
doubtful?
as of 9 hours
I mean, they
ago.
won
We can
last
only
week
make
and he
one
wasn't
ep-
playing.
We can only make one episode.
It's too late.
Matt.
Moving on.
Yep. All right. Cincinnati coming off the loss to yours truly. Going into
Heck yeah. I like the way you did that.
coming into Iowa State.
Straight off a loss to Kansas.
Straight off a loss to
A
the
lo-
Jayhawks.
A game of losers. No, he's got to pick first. Don't overdo it.
All right. Yeah, you're correct. You might have to keep me on my toes for the rest of this.
It's so out of order.
Please go, Jit.
I'm kind of feeling Iowa State.
I love the contemplation here.
My brain is working as hard as it can. Okay, like
Overdrive.
it's not an overdrive, bro. It's in maximum overdrive. Okay.
Okay.
Like it's going 120 and like a 30. Okay.
And it's saying Iowa State.
Yes.
All right.
Fair enough.
I'm going to agree with him. Iowa State. I don't feel like they lose again after losing a game they definitely shouldn't have lost.
I don't like that me and you are picking the same every time.
It's in your nature to disagree with me, so I am sort of.
I'm not. I'm going Iowa State too.
All right.
I don't think they lose 3 straight.
I don't think so either. But
Be different.
no, I don't know. I think Iowa State wins this, but I think it's very possible that they lose. But I'm gonna
college
go with
football,
I'm gonna
man.
go with Iowa State.
Iowa
here.
State. Was that a Nike campaign? Be different.
I don't know.
I think you're right.
I think it was a Nike campaign.
I believe you.
I'd like to make a statement. I do not endorse speeding.
Okay.
You heard it here first, America. And don't speed.
Yeah,
If you speed around Jit, he will not be your friend.
absolutely.
All right. Last game before we get to West Virginia. Kansas coming off the win, a very important win for momentum and for our sake against Iowa State, going up against BYU. I am very interested to see what Kansas can do in this game. Thank you.
It's all good. I'm not saying BYU because Utah, obvious reasons. So Kansas because BYU.
Boo.
BY boo.
BYU? Question mark. Oh, Halloween's
Jit,
gone.
did they get helped by the refs last week? Was it because of the refs?
Just say yes or no. We better be getting this on camera.
No
We
comment.
better be getting this.
My-
Did the refs cause the Utah Utes to lose?
How should I answer this question?
I
With a
said
yes
yes
or
or no.
no.
Just yes or no.
Is there like a short answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes or no.
Which one is in support of what Dan Remy would be?
Yes, that is the support.
Why don't you
Yes.
talk to your dad? Talk to your dad about
I'm gonna
balls.
call him up and I'll have an answer next time. Okay.
He says yes.
I'm gonna put a picture of like Patrick Starr thinking right beside him.
Oh
The
my
gears
gosh.
were No, I'm gonna put it in, but while he's thinking, it's like Jimmy Neutron when it goes in his brain and he's
Oh,
like
brain
thinking-
blast.
brain blast.
Bro, I always have a brain blast, man.
I'm gonna put that in when Jit's just kind of sitting there thinking.
That's gonna be golden.
So you think Kansas and you think Utah lost because of the refs?
Perchance.
Okay. Moving on.
All right, my pick now. I think BYU wins. I was saying next week. I think Kansas, their greatest chance to win is against. Who was I even saying before?
Colorado, maybe?
Colorado. That's what it was. I don't know why I couldn't remember Colorado. I think Kansas beats Colorado, but I think BYU will improve to 10-0, especially since it is a night game and they have a pretty rowdy stadium. So I think that'll play a factor.
I'm getting tired of these 10-15 games, man.
I know. It's hard to stay up and watch, even on a Saturday night, man. But I got BYU.
So me and you are going 5 for 5.
All right.
I've got BYU too. But me and Matt said last week that the BYU Utah game would be close. That's some elite ball knowledge right there. Good stuff.
Thank you, sir.
Don't be surprised if this is close. Kansas has been playing really good football lately. I told y'all last week I told him last week, not you all weren't here, that I thought Kansas was going to beat Iowa State because Jalen Daniels had been playing better. It was on the road. And I think Kansas can, BYU's playing with fire recently. They have had several close games now. And the same thing happened to Miami where they were just playing too close, too many games in a row. So don't be surprised if Kansas comes away with a W or at least keeps it close. But I still am going to go BYU.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I don't know. This is a tough game because if Kansas plays like they did with Iowa State, I don't even think it's close. Just BYU has not been on the hot streak.
Are they on fraud detection?
They might be.
Like I was saying in our college football picks, BYU gives me Miami energy.
They're playing with fire, man.
Man, I think I'm going to have to go with Kansas here.
So you're going with Jit against the algorithm.
Oh, man.
It's too
Yeah,
late.
I'm gonna
Hey,
go.
I already did it.
You
I
can't
already
take it
did
back. You
so-
can't take it back.
I'm going with Kansas here.
Wait, you said Kansas?
No, I'm saying I went with him. I went against the algorithm in one of the picks. I think it was
Oh,
Iowa
okay.
State.
The algorithm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
I can always beat the computers, guys.
I
It's
kind of
not
believe
because
that.
I'm smart. It's because I'm creative.
The statistics say otherwise, man. You're 10-21.
That's
I'm
creative.
creative.
10-21 is useless when you consider the amount of street cred that he has.
In Florida
Street cred.
specifically.
In Florida specifically.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I got a lot of friends. They all
I got a
like me.
lot of friends in
Connections.
football.
Connections.
Yes.
Math don't matter.
I can't
Exactly.
do math. I can only count to 8. That's it. No more. Ian knows why. He also can't count more than 8.
You know, I'm honestly questioning what we're talking about.
I don't either. I don't.
We're gonna
I'll
have
we
explain
should
to
move
you
on.
later.
Let's figure it out after the show.
Let's move on.
Oh my gosh. What has this turned into? Okay. Let us know your guys' Big 12 picks. Where you agree with us, where you disagree with us. Maybe you're on the JIT train. I wouldn't blame you
With the algorithm.
with the algorithm. But yeah, definitely comment.
It's more
Let us
like
know.
a trolley.
Creative.
Okay, then.
Some could say train wreck.
Baylor, guys. Baylor.
Okay, let's move on to West Virginia versus Baylor. So Baylor comes into Morgantown, winning 3 games in a row. Baylor has. West Virginia obviously winning against Cincinnati and winning against Arizona, right? Yeah, that's what it was. So 2-game win streak there, 3-game win streak for Baylor. So both teams playing with a little bit of fire underneath of them. I'm just going to come out and say I expect us to win this game. I would say my main key to the game is our offensive flow. Because I think it's going to be a given that the defense is going to play up to the level that they should now that we've seen what they did against what they did against why am I blanking right now? I can't think of teams. Cincy. When we were even supposed to go to Cincy, we didn't end up going to Cincy. Yeah, what the defense did against Cincy. I think defense is going to continue to do that against Baylor. But with our discussions earlier, the offense needs to open up a little bit more, whether that be in terms of play calling, whether that be in terms of passing. Even if the stats themselves are worse for whichever quarterback is playing, I would like to see a flow of plays that aren't constricted in a box. Because a lot of the times when we run, we tend to run the same way. When we pass, we tend to pass the same way. I would like to see a variety to try to shake up Baylor's defense. And I'm not so sure that Baylor has the absolute best defense in the Big 12. I think it's one that we could easily exploit with a little bit of better preparation and play calling. With that said, I think we win this game. So I think we take care of business. I expect Nico to start. If Nico starts, I expect him to have a better game than he did against Cincy. Statistically, I expect us to have more total yards. Definitely more than Baylor. I expect us to have more total yards than Baylor, at least. Definitely more than we had in Cincy total. I just look for our offense to be better and our defense to stay on the level that they're on now. And I expect us to win.
I've got a couple keys to the game, okay? And one is consistency. So like you said, the defense showed whether or not the downfield defense was, great. We forced some turnovers. And whether it was just boneheaded mistakes by Brendan Sorsby or it was just the mentality on our defense being a little bit better and actually forcing turnovers, we did force them. And so consistency on the defensive end is key. You're going to have to find a way to get a takeaway or two against Sawyer Robertson, who has been playing relatively good since he came in. 60% on completion percentage. He's got nearly 1,800 yards. Excuse me. 17 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So he's kept the ball out of harm's way and then 4 touchdowns on the ground. So you're going to have to force him into a mistake or two. My second key to the game is, the offense. It sounds so dumb to say, but Neil has been a terrible play caller all year long. And so whoever is starting at quarterback, Nico or Garrett, let them run the offense. It is so much better when you just let the quarterback go out there and play. And something Carson Fox was saying on his show, it's like we're so vanilla on offense. I mean, it is first down, halfback draw, second down, halfback draw, third down, bubble screen, or deep pass down the sideline. And they know it's going to happen. And I commented on his video, and we're a run-heavy team. We hang our hat on our running ability with CJ, Garrett, and Jaheim. But when you're only throwing the ball 15 times in a game, the throwing is never a threat, and that's what opens up the run game. The run game opens up if the defense knows that the downfield passes and the across-the-middle passes are going to be a threat. If it's not, they're going to stack the box, and Jaheim and CJ are going to get stopped after a yard or two every play. Let them control. Let whoever starts, GG Nico, let them run the offense. Let them throw the ball. Let GG run. Let them roll out of the pocket. So my key to the game is just the offense and Neil Brown not oversimplifying it when it doesn't need to be oversimplified. As for who I think wins, we've won 2 straight against Baylor. Both have been stupid close. Last year was, I said on another, I think I tweeted this out also, is that game against Cincy felt like Baylor last year, a game that you should have dominated, and you let Baylor stay in it and you let Cincy stay in it for no reason whatsoever. I'm scared of this game, and more so because it is not like Neil Brown to win multiple Big 12 games in a row, and he's won 2. If he wins 3, it's not looking good for UCF, but I'm going to pick West Virginia with hopes that Neil Brown can find something going in November. Trust the climb.
That's crazy.
November.
I don't know if we should trust the climb, but November, baby.
I'm going to just be short and sweet here. Baylor has never beaten West Virginia in Morgantown.
This guy never picks against West Virginia.
He never will.
He is a climb truster.
I like the Mountaineers. I like the Mountaineers in this pick. In this game, I think we'll beat them. I think it'll be a tough opponent. I think it'll be a hard fought.
It'll be close,
but I think we'll bring home the victory here.
Maybe we'll have another Geno Smith game from Nico that'll throw for 600.
Well, I think
was
Gigi
at that
will get
game
the start.
in what was it, 2012? That game was crazy.
Both games the past 2 games have been decided by a field goal.
Wow.
Well, at least within a field goal, a 3-point win.
Well, Jit, what do you have?
I'm with Matt on this one. I'm feeling WVU. Feeling a lot of school spirit right now. Feeling very, very, very hyped to be at another home game very soon to go see it with my own eyes.
You gonna wear a helmet?
Yes,
Yeah.
I will wear a helmet.
All right.
You know why I think we're going to win this game? Because there's no pressure on it. The stands are going to be half empty.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
I think it's actually going to reinvigorate some people knowing that the Big 12 title window has
If
closed.
we win this, I think
we
you'll
just
see
had
people
2
be there
wins.
for UCF.
We're coming off of 2 wins.
That you
know.
had 24-7 leads in and almost blew.
We're coming off of 2 wins. Now, how many people are going to look at this and say, "Man, we didn't play till the last drive of the game to just barely
people
eke out a
coming to the
win?"
games are people that watch the games.
I think half full, half empty. I think we've got more than that.
Yeah, I think we'll have a little more than half full. And naturally, more people are going to be at the UCF game anyway because it's senior night.
I'll see 40.
So
I say 40 people there. Not 40 people.
Wow.
40 people,
40,000.
40 whole people,
40
including
whole
us.
people will
40
be
whole
in the
people.
stadium, guys.
We're
So-
shaking the camera.
4
We
of those people will be us.
We're just hitting the table.
The
and-
other 36, we do not know.
Indeed.
Well, they won't be Baylor fans.
Well, there will be 300 there, at least.
So you're saying
Probably.
2/3 of the stadium.
Huh?
You're saying 2/3 capacity
something like that.
because we hold what 62,000.
About
Somewhere in
61-ish.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
40,000.
count last time I was.
Let's make it a packed house, guys. Sold out.
Let's do it.
That'd be cool.
Not
Wear
gonna
green and yellow. No, I didn't say that.
Dude, I would be
Yeah.
so stoked because it's Veterans Day, right? Well, yesterday at time of recording. But I would be so stoked if they did a flyover. That's so good for a game.
Did you see? I'm sorry. I keep seeing things where the Penn State whiteout game against Washington this past week was streamed on Peacock, and it wasn't a Fox or ESPN game. And can you imagine?
Okay.
But my point,
On
what is this
Peacock.
game on? Is this what is this on? But it's
Should
funny
be
because
ESPN Plus.
the Penn State whiteout game is on Peacock, and you really think we're gonna get a flyover?
No, but it'd be cool.
for Baylor.
It'd be cool. That's all I said. All I said was it'd be cool.
Dude.
We
Don't rain on my
guys,
parade.
just come to the game. We have inside information that the band is going to be doing a really cool Armed Forces show. Come to the game.
It's always that time of year anyway for the band with the games we've been to in the past where around Veterans Day they always do that Armed Forces medley, which I am in a community band at home and I play almost the exact same thing. So,
I love having inside
Go band.
information.
go band.
Go Pride of
Me
West
too.
Virginia.
All I'm gonna say is, Armed Forces shows always go hard. Ever since my high school shows,
Hey, we're repping back here right now.
Yeah, I'm very patriotic.
We call you guys America. We're repping the flag back here.
And
Filming on Veterans Day, part of the show. This is a very
So
patriotic episode.
It is a very
all
patriotic
I'm gonna
episode.
say is, Matt bleeds red, white, and blue.
That's true.
And golden
And
blue.
you sweat
And
gold.
golden blue.
Sweat
Red,
gold.
white,
Sweat
gold,
gold.
and blue.
What does that mean?
It goes blue and gold.
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
but you
I
also-
get it.
Gold and blue.
I get it.
He can produce all the
Okay.
colors.
You can't say blue and gold. That's Notre
He
Dame.
He
And
bleeds,
Pitt, I think.
bleeds blue, sweats gold. How about that?
No, he bleeds gold, sweats blue.
Huh?
No, he can produce
Why is he
all
bleeding
the
colors?
colors
Why am I
that he
bleeding?
needs to
What?
And sweating.
What?
No. Think about it. He can produce all the. Let's just settle on this. He can produce all the colors he needs to produce with his body.
Okay, all right.
Buenos dias, everybody.
And it's technically in the morning. It is 1:10 in the morning as
Oh,
of right
great.
now.
That's too late.
Oh my gosh, we're grinding too much, guys. We need to take a break.
I think it's time to go to bed.
It
Not a
is time to
break.
get to bed.
No breaks, but I'm feeling pretty sleepy.
All right. Well, for
Neil-
everybody watching, or were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. For everybody watching, let us know what you think of West Virginia game. Let us know what you think of everything that we've covered on this episode. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. When I was here last time, I made a grave mistake. We are not at Coal Country Show on X. We are at Coal Country WVU. So
Did that change, or was that what we were?
that's what it was. But whenever I was like making the account, I made it show at first, and I'm like, that doesn't sit right. And then I changed it to WVU. And then when I came on here, I forgot to say WVU. I just kept saying show because that's what was in my mind.
So the account is what?
At Coal Country WVU, all lowercase, no space, no underscore, just all one thing.
I'll have to go give it a follow.
Everybody better go give it a follow.
I follow.
So follow us on X, follow us on Instagram, and follow us and like us on Facebook. So that pretty much covers all our social medias. It's going to wrap it up for this episode. So from me, from Tyler, from Matt, from Jit, see you on the next episode.
Goodbye, America.
See y'all later.